Hello, hello, good morning.
Good morning. Yay. Aloha. Welcome to my Saturday version of Conversations on Wellness. And today I'm so excited to have my girlfriend, Emma Kupu Mitchell here with me. And she is my astrologist. If you don't have an astrologist, you need one. So go get one.
Oh, good morning. Aloha, Gina. This is fun.
Yay. I know. I've got my tea. And you've got your tea, and this is what we do. We hang out and we talk about the stars and what's in store for us for our health in 2021. And I'm going to just throw this on you right now. You do so many things because what I love about you is you're an all-inclusive spirit, spirit conscious woman, goddess, and you do sound bowl healing, and you do astrology, numerology. You also have a group. You do yoga nidra practice. So you are such a wonderful teacher. And I'm so happy you're my friend. That we just said, let's get together and talk about astrology, because Monday is a big conjunction, right? With Jupiter and Saturn. And
look at you. I'm impressed.
I am learning more and more. And Jeffrey's here. And let's say aloha to him before we jump in. This is Jeffrey. Hi, Jeff. Aloha to you too. Thanks for watching.
Cool. Aloha, Jeffrey.
Raquel is here with an aloha too. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning.
Awesome.
I think it's morning where, yeah.
Yeah, they're on the mainland, so it's still morning for them.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Let's jump in and let's talk about why. I'm going to turn this over to you while I go close the front door because it's raining. So let's start with that question. Why is it so important to have a spiritual practice? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think so much of our traditional training, am I on? Actually, I'm just going to keep speaking, Gina. I can talk. I think the reason for me, growing up in England and connected to nature, my health awareness was different, very non-traditional, and most people are taught that this is health. The physical body is the priority to health. And yes, feelings and our emotions are interwoven into physical health, but I actually was taught that our spirit lives in the body. So our higher consciousness, our soul-centered higher being, whatever you want to call it, there's many names for spirit, everything begins out in the spiritual energy. And then it weaves its way into the body. So by the time we get a complaint or a pain or something in the body, it's actually been embedded way before. So having a spiritual practice, you actually dig deep into the root cause. So the spirit lives in the body. It's eternal, it's infinite. And so there's always an emotional, energetic aspect to that, which is closely linked to whatever you want to call that. You know, people have different names for, and whether you believe it or not, there's many aspects to physical health. Yeah, and we can treat the symptom, right? But there's usually an underlying energy imbalance that's come from out here. The spirit is the way in, right? And spirit's all around us. So spiritual practice can be many things, right? I mean, the biggest and easiest is to go outside, connect in nature, right? I mean, nature, talk to the trees, pay attention to the wind, the rain.
The rain is talking to me right now.
The rain, right? I mean, it's listening, it's opening our physical ears, but also our spiritual ears. And the senses are the way in. Yeah, the senses are the way into a spiritual practice. So whether that's movement, getting in your body, opening your invisible eyes as well as your physical eyes. Yeah, so paying attention to that. Does that, I can go on and on. You have to stop me and go, Tita Poppins, shut up.
Hey, if anyone's watching and has any questions, drop them in the comments and we can always discuss that. Or if you're watching on the replay, feel free to leave your questions and Emma will be back to answer them. Emma, you touched on a couple of really good points, like how easy it is for us. We don't have to buy anything to start this spiritual practice. It's just getting in tune with ourselves and nature and being more conscious. And now is a great time during this pandemic to start a practice like this, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the gifts, isn't it? Because the busyness of the external world, and hey, I'm guilty. I have no way mastered. I'm here with you, Gina, and everybody else living it. And it is a practice, a spiritual practice. So the COVID and the lockdown has been super hard on many, many levels. I don't want to take that away. But for me and for many, the biggest gift has been having time with yourself and quieter time at home or wherever the lockdown is to hear the messages, hear the mind chatter, pay attention to the body. Things come up, right? But in the busyness of the doing, we don't get the time to kind of just sit, listen. I always say we hear more in the silence, right? And by hearing more, I mean more of who we are, more of what the spirit and the soul needs. So I know not everybody has weather like we have here in Hawaii, but just even putting your boots on and your raincoat or your winter coat and just 5 minutes outside, it's so important. Nature transmutes heaviness, and talking of frequencies, there's something very, very grounding and centering just from a walk in nature. It really is. And breath, let's go to the breath on another free practice. Just breathing. Breath is probably one of the easiest ways into spiritual practice.
That's true.
Right? And we go
do it indoors.
But not many people breathe deeply or connect with their breath. And I used to shallow breathe a lot before I did my yoga practice. And that for me is one of the simplest. I teach my daughter that all the time. Final week, I know you probably have the same with your son. She gets so in her head, and then your breath shortens. And I'm like, Lily, drop down. Just exhale longer. 3 inhales, 4 exhales. It's just lengthening the exhale. So a couple of easy free practices.
Right. I love that. And another thing that you spoke on a little earlier about the root of the problem with Jeff was saying right here, I'll show his comment. He says, getting to the root of our health issues is so important. And I agree to that. Because for me, like having the health issue with cancer earlier in this year, we're talking about energy and frequency in our bodies and our energy centers. And for me, my thyroid, that's where I had the cancer. That was a major indication that I needed to speak. That's why I'm doing this. This live stream is part of my healing practice, where I'm using my throat chakra and I'm getting that energy out. And I notice some days I'll wake up and I'll check in with my body. And if I feel something here, I'm like, oh, I need to sing or speak or something, like something's wrong here. It needs to move. Energy needs to move here.
I love it. And even if you don't know the deeper level of the chakras or the energy centers to the thyroid, just the location of the body, it's like putting a post-it, right? Whether it's your knee, whether it's your neck. What does the neck do? Holds everything up. Oh, well, maybe you're holding a lot of different things that aren't really your responsibilities. It can tell us so much, the metaphor in the body, and you're right. Expression. I love the fact that you're doing this, and your dancing and your movement and your visibility and self-expression, right?
Self-expression, very necessary for me, for my healing body, and I'm sure there are other people out there that can relate to me.
I had a lot of tonsillitis growing up, and in England they really wanted to take the tonsils out, and in a way my mum's like, no, just wait. I was like 7 or 8, But I was really quiet, and I'd hide behind my twin sister for a lot of the time. Like, you wouldn't know that now. If she's watching this later, she'll be like, what?
Oh.
But I did, and I shut down the throat. So for me, the singing bowls, the music, the visibility, the teaching has all helped me. But it is a work in progress, right? We all are. Yeah. So thank you for leading the way and being the inspiration that you are. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Jeff, I love the fact that Jeff said, yeah, the root cause and trusting in yourself, right? Yeah, getting into breathing. I love that. You know, we need the Western medical, we do. However, I'm teaching my daughter this year that take that information in, but you know your body more than anybody else. Trust the feelings and communicate that in relationship, because nobody knows what's been going on. And often we hide that from ourselves, right? Yeah. But
and also what you're saying is like how our emotions, which are energy frequency, is it frequency of an emotion or feeling?
Absolutely.
That's like, if sometimes if we hold things in, or if we we just don't pay attention to it, and we push it away, and we just move on with our day, these energies get stuck in our body in different parts, and that's what causes illness too, right?
Very much so. For me, I've always been that the spiritual misalignment, the emotional feeling, and then the last is the physical. So we kind of work backwards. So we've got the physical disharmony, pain, whatever you want to call it. What was the emotion behind that? What did we dismiss, stuff down, ignore, deny, pretend it was all fine? I'm good at that too. Oh, everything's okay. Or putting yourself last. There's always, a frequency or a vibration that is not in alignment for you. And everybody's is different, Gina. Yeah.
Right.
But if we're
and
truthful,
it can also be, if you're in a relationship that's not in alignment with you, then your body talks to you. If you're working at a place that's not in alignment with you, then your body talks to you. So every right thing that is for us is in us. And
absolutely. Absolutely. I always say that the best medicine is right here. It's amazing, isn't it? How we were created. And you think that if we pay attention to our own body wisdom, and we do need help. We're blessed, we've got all the resources, but wholeness does begin, and it's a continuation. So that you've had the surgery, you've taken care of what you needed to, but then how do you maintain the harmony, the equilibrium, the center in your body? How do you create? And everything really is in its flow. When things get stagnant or constricted, that's where we think of kind of an energy plug. And for me, that's when the energy gets stored, it then creates disharmony. And if it's left, the physical body has to deal with it, right? So it'll manifest something to get your attention. But just think of it as flowing energy.
Yeah, I love that, because to me, I can see that being stress, like the stress that we all have, the fear of the virus and all of this, and that is so not good for our immune system. So I turned off my news months ago when this started. I did not go in that direction, because something inside of me said, don't listen, just live your life and everything's going to work out exactly how it should. So because if we keep ourselves in those lower vibrations, then we're going to end up hurting our bodies.
Absolutely. Bodies, minds, life. And it's different for everybody. The lower frequencies can kick in different ways, right? So what are your ways? That's the invitation I would say to everybody either watching or listening later. Tune in. What's your default? We usually all have something right? Is it blame? Is it guilt? Is it should have done more? Why did I do that? Is it criticism? And then shift it to a higher, right, compassion. Would we talk to our little baby self like that, or a child? I don't think so, right? Yeah. So the higher, if people are wondering what lower vibrations are, it's things that could cause pain or tightness or constriction. Yeah, and then the higher vibrations would be joy, happiness, laughter,
Love.
fun, play, love. Love's probably the highest of all. Yeah.
Peace.
Peace, forgiveness,
Yes.
compassion. Yeah, all of those. But I think that's a human experience, isn't it? And one of the gifts really of realignment this year and re-evaluating for everybody, and recalibrating for me, that's how I'm viewing it really. And even the sacred pause, and yes, the COVID, terrible virus, but how can we strengthen our own immunity? And yeah, you notice yours, switching off the TV and media. Yeah, because that can be a very lower vibration. Yeah. So love it.
Yes, and now let's jump into my favorite, the astrology.
I know, you are so awesome, and I'm a continual student, right? I mean, the more we learn about the skies, the less I know, Gina. It's a lifelong learning. But today you talked about Jupiter and Saturn, two of the bigger planets in our solar system. Saturn moved into Aquarius, I think it was Wednesday. Jupiter moves today. So, and they come exact on Monday, which is the solstice, winter solstice for Earth, spring, summer, should I say, in Australia and Southern Hemisphere. But the solstice is light, the sun, really, how we honor the sun. But yeah, how does that influence us? Because people tend to think, well, astrology is out there, right? And it's this weird language that I know nothing about, but I've learned through my teachers, so I'm really, really honored to continue to learn, that we come from the stars. We're made of stardust. This might get a bit wacky for some people, but we really, that's home. And if we understand, again, the music or the energy or the harmony of the sky, it's in us. But understanding when you were born that the picture of the sky, your birth chart or your natal chart, mirrors how Jupiter and Saturn or the sun moves through you. And that's what I love. You know me, I'm quite practical. So I look at the elements, how much earth, how much fire, how much water, how much air is in the chart. So Aries is a fire sign, Leo is a fire sign, Sagittarius is a fire sign. How much of that is in you? And then what are the planets are helping support your awareness with that? So does that, a little insight into astrology. My teachers say it's a way in, not a way out. So it's just one other tool that I love to use, because everything moves in cycles. And this year, we kind of knew something big was happening, the astrologers, because Saturn and Pluto hadn't really met exact in Capricorn for about 600 years. Wow. So we knew Pluto is death, rebirth, transformation. Saturn is commitment, boundaries, restrictions, limitations. We kind of knew something. And if you go back in history, the plague, I mean, we could go back and see pandemics. None of us knew we could, but we kind of knew, I would say change, big change, but we didn't know how it was going to play out. So we can't predict how. We can tone into the music or the hum. So right now we know that Jupiter and Saturn are coming together, and it's going to be visible for the first time, they say, since about 1226. We go back, and then there's often, it's been called the Christmas star, because in the biblical tense, the Star of Bethlehem, the time that Jesus was born, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars were exactly aligned, and it created this beautiful light. So we're going to get this light on Monday, right through till Christmas, actually, the 25th, visible on the kind of the western side of the sky at night. It's going to be amazing. And you think, well, what is that doing? Jupiter expands everything. And Saturn really is this commitment and responsibilities, structures. So how are we expanding new structures in our own lives? How are we showing up for restructuring beliefs, emotions, ways of doing things, habits that have been maybe not supportive? How are we personally going to shift that change and bring in the expansion? Because whatever we choose, that's what's going to be expanded, right? So if you're choosing seemingly unhealthy habits, you're going to get, wow, way more of that. So awareness is key. Yeah, what do you want to change within your own life? And obviously what's going on collectively, yeah, we can't do too much around that, but we can create change within ourselves, right? So I'm going to recreate and choose a different structure of kind of honoring self more. I've always viewed it as being selfish, but yeah, my sacred kind of intention this week and for the next year is to create healthier boundaries for self, showing up more for me.
That's awesome. I love that.
What about you, Gina?
For me, what am I creating in 2021?
Yeah, or what would you like Jupiter to expand, and the Saturn? Where are the new structures or responsibilities or commitments? I know those words are all very Saturnian words, but yeah, what would you like to
expand on?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I've got an amazing spiritual practice. It actually is so good that I don't want my day to start. So I'm like, can I just stay in here a little longer?
Love it.
Yes, and so and that's pretty much every day I do something for myself, and I mean in that manner. But there's a lot of different things I do for myself in a day: nutrition, exercise, a mental spiritual practice, prayer, all of these elements that are like my rock for my day, and I love it. And so for me, what I'm creating for next year, which I don't have, I mean, I do have, but I want more of, is financial abundance, and so I'm reading the financial books, I'm taking the classes, I'm learning about law of attraction and manifestation and working on that mentally, because I have to be the money magnet that I am. So
absolutely infinite. So you're working on the abundance container or structure. Yeah. This infinite flow. Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So that's my intention for 2021.
Yeah. So people may say astrology, nah. But if we visibly see the sun rising and setting, it's happening anyway. And so why not tap in or align a little bit more with those energies that are coming in? Because we always have a choice. Yeah. And some of them can be a little, Saturn can be challenging, but he wakes us all up to, okay, boundaries can feel very negative, but actually they create change. Yeah, and sometimes it's needed. And then what are we going to do with that change? So, but Jupiter, whenever Jupiter's in the house, he expands the blessings and the abundance. But we want to be mindful where that's what's going on in our lives, right? So beautiful.
So this is a good time to set an intention for next year and like look at your life. What's missing? Relationships, finances, career, all of the elements that make us our life, and decide where you want to put your focus.
Yeah,
abundance, expansion.
Yeah, and it can be abundance in health, relationships. I mean, yeah, that's a great one. You're right. I mean, I've been following the moon and for many years, but actively the last 2 or 3. And new moons are the highest energy to seed our intentions and thoughts and sacred desires. So about now is a great time. We had a new moon on Monday. Soon as we start to see that light in the sky, write them down, sing them out. I mean, there's a power in old-fashioned, I keep a journal. I do like to physically write things out, and it can be 2 or 3 things. Keep it simple, right? That's what I would always invite. But new moon, so this new moon feeds all the energy through till next year. We don't get a new moon till January the 13th. So now people is a great time to just, where do you want to focus that New Year's? And I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because I never really keep too many of my traditions that I used to do, but little moon intentions are great.
New moon intentions. And so journaling and making a practice of it every new moon.
Yeah.
What you want to have in the next month till the next new moon.
And then new moon to full moon, we get the fullness, and the moon goes, oh, it's illuminating. How are you doing with those intentions? Do some need to change? Do you need to let something go and release it, refine it, retune it into the second part? So waxing, things grow, new to full. Full moon, we go, what do we need to release, let go, and refine so that we can kind of take that into full to new? Everything's cyclical.
Oh, okay. So you're saying with the full moon is a release, like what do I want to let go of? And then the new moon is what I want to create.
Correct.
And if you continue to work on that every month, every month, then that would be an easy ebb and flow of life, release, bring in, release.
Absolutely. Empty out, kind of like the inhale and the exhale. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like your breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool. Do you have anything that you're going to do on Monday, like any special practice for this?
I kind of did it a little earlier just because I'm involved with other co-teaching. I've been, so for me personally, so I may record a crystal bowl meditation that's maybe 10, 15 minutes that'll go out free to the community. Personally, if I get up to the heiau at the top of Aiea Heights, that for me is sacred ground, and just honoring the sun and the light. And then at night I'll usually have a candle and take a beautiful bath and just honor with some oils and honor the darkness, the void of the light, because both to me, we're lucky here, aren't we? We're blessed that we've got sunlight, right?
Yeah.
Even through the rain, but right. I'll be doing both on Monday. The solstice to me is literally honoring the light, whether that's full sunlight or the darkness like us. It's kind of the longest day of dark, isn't it? The shortest light in the winter solstice. My sister in Australia, it's the opposite. Summer solstice is like the fullness of light. So what about you?
I'm still putting it together. I'm thinking about cleansing in the ocean. That's
lovely.
Part of it. That's one of the things I'm thinking about doing. My friend Shello, who I interviewed earlier this month, she is a psychic intuitive, and she's available on Monday. So I might connect with her too.
Love it. A little self practice. Anything that people can do to honor the light within you, and the beautiful sunlight. So that could be a candle, right? I mean, that's the easiest, whether it's battery operated or not. I mean, some of the oils, crystals are great, right? Things like anything that's yellow. I mean, citrine comes to mind, or a calcite, or I'm trying to think that there's. Somebody's going to correct me. There is a solstice stone, and it's gone. My brain's.
That's okay. That's so cool. So I really, really appreciate your time. I love learning more from you, and One of the things that I did this year, besides my own astrology charts, was I had one. You did one for my son, so that I could understand more about him and what he needs and what is his what is his gifts. So I think that's super cool that you're able to look at the time you were born and get an idea of who we are.
Yeah,
Very
can you imagine if
interesting.
we learnt that in school? I mean, it
Hmm.
was so great for you to be, and of course he was open to it. But yeah, it's so much. I particularly was terrible at math and science. So my mum made me have a math tutor. I was like pushed on all the things I really didn't vibe with. And I'm like, hello, if I'd had an astrology or more music or creativity, right? Yeah, understanding that everybody has gifts and strengths. And if we focus more on those rather than the stuff we can't do, right? I mean, I know we have to pass maths, right? I know that in high school, but yeah, I think understanding through astrology and numerology and all the other kind of non-traditional, yeah. How
Yeah.
our ancestors used to live, Gina, really. The mystery and wisdom schools, they understood way more that if you know your own moon sign, that's how you feel safe and secure. That's how you receive intuition. That's how you're emotionally fed. And that's what makes you feel good, right? And the sun is how you shine your light, and honoring that every day. Simple things, sun and moon sign, really easy. Just little gifts, right? Yeah. So no, thank you for letting me do that for you and him. It's fun.
It is, and the more I learn about it, it's just amazing. You know how the planets are. I don't know what do the planets are connected to different parts of our body, different planets. Yeah, I think
Correct.
I heard
Correct.
Jupiter, right, is chest, and
Yeah.
Saturn is the lower body, right, knees, legs, different
Yeah,
things like that.
all the structures. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. How they, I know, fascinating, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Thinking of them like our kind of friends, allies, and where they sit, and everybody has a different kind of amount of planetary play in the chart. And I know you kind of asked about, if we look at the chart and the houses 1 through 12, think of those as areas where the energies are moving. Usually the sixth house things in the sixth house can often tell us what goes on in our day-to-day routines, which would be health, from brushing teeth to what we eat, right, and what we do in our day. Yeah, is a really good indication. And often 12th house, the psychological, what we hide from ourselves. So there's certain areas that we can look, and often people just choose to come in with more planets there. Yeah, there's no bad. I don't like astrologers that freak people out, or anybody that freaks people out. There might be some challenging areas, but we can always work through those. That they're opportunities for growth, right? Yeah, and
Totally.
so
I love it. I just love it. I don't really understand my chart completely. I mean, I understand there's these numbers. And yeah, it's so cool though.
yeah,
It's
it's a
amazing.
living learning experience, Gina. Even me,
It's,
I'm still learning as well and understanding, and it's lifelong journey. Yeah,
mhm.
um, but that's the fun part, right? And we
Yeah.
get to do it together.
Uh-huh. And well, when my nephew is born in March, I'm gonna get his chart done with
Oh,
you because it would
exciting.
be, like you're saying, when you're young, to have an understanding of where the issues will be and what to feed. Like you want to feed the gifts, feed the gifts, and understand and
Yeah,
be more compassionate to what the needs are, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
I have one
yeah.
more question for you. This is a silly one, but it's one that I feel I have the answer to, and I want to know if you have the same answer as me.
Uh-oh.
So, okay, this is it. So my brother has this girl that he likes, and she's very into charts and astrology and stuff. And she did his chart, and she said we're not compatible, so she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. And to me,
Wow.
I don't think that's a good thing because I think like people people come into your life for a reason, whether it be good or bad, and you have to learn from that relationship. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you could see by my face.
Yeah.
Right? You see, this is where it can get very limited, and people play out energies. I do not believe in that type of consultational reading at all. No, I don't. And I'm like you, there's people come in for reasons, right?
Yeah.
And that love can manifest in different ways. So it's not as simple as black and white. And I'd be interested. People often look where Venus is, you know, and if it's in a corresponding place, well, yeah, life doesn't work like that. There's something going on bigger, right? And
Right.
I would go, wow, what are we going to learn and grow and evolve together with? Any relationship is tough, right? We can all admit that.
Yeah. So I think ultimately it must be her fear of a relationship that she's using the charts as a wall to getting close to someone.
Yeah. Or even looking for an ideal, a perfect from the books.
Right. Perfect.
There is no perfect anything, right? Yeah. So I would look within. I mean, I would, yeah. So I'm with you on that.
Yay, yay.
Yay.
That's what I told my brother too. I said, next.
That's a sign. Yes. Right. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Good.
Yeah, may he find. So that is a great question. Yeah. And always tune in. I'd say to your brother, what's coming up for you with that? I mean, yeah, how is he responding to being told that?
I know it hurts him. And then of course it's a play. It's a mental game where she's, you know, because she says no, that he wants her more. You know, it's like, it's one of those games that people play in relationships. And I told him, you don't deserve that.
No.
Nope.
No. Nope. That's a sacred no. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, anything that kind of brings that kind of constriction or sadness or life's hard enough, isn't it? Relationships are challenging. It's one of the biggest areas that people come for, actually. Job change, transitions, relationship, health. But I look again, I come back to the wholeness of the chart, because we're all of the chart. So yeah, it's more an exploration in showing people the gifts, right, and playing out, and then looking at perhaps areas that may be challenged, but you chose that. I always say you chose to come in on a certain day and time, and that's where we learn, that's where we grow and expand and evolve, right? Yeah, so fun. Yeah. Great question.
Okay, great. I'm glad that I'm going to tell her. I'm going to tell him what you said. Emma said.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I would. Yeah. There is no perfect chart.
Nope. Cool. But I mean, I love that it gives you the boundaries and an idea of who you are.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree with you about the whole concept of restriction and expansion. If something makes you happier, then that's where you should be.
Yes, more joy and fun.
More joy.
Yeah.
Totally.
Simplicity and joy, and just more of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and your body will tell you. We all know, right? It might be kind of a knot in your stomach, or something in your throat, or
or your heart is heavy. That's heaviness. Not a good sign. That means no. Right.
That means no. Yeah. We want, so Jupiter's bringing in all this expansion. Where are we going to let that in?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to be looking up at the sky really from now through till Christmas Day and saying, thanks, Jupiter. Expanding more of that.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. More hikes, more outdoors, more indoors in myself.
Yeah, more inner exploration, inner growth, inner understanding. Yeah. Well, thanks, Gina, for offering these. You are just you are an inspiration. You are a joy. I love. Yeah, we need to get on a hike. It's just time, isn't it? Yeah.
I put this one up. It says 2021, new year for transformation, abundance, and optimal wellness, physically, mentally, and financially. Awesome.
Look at that. Jeffrey's just summed up. I love it.
No, that's our summary. Boom. And then I will put this one up from Raquel. She says, beautiful information. It goes with all I always believed in, and this is so nice that someone can explain it so well. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you, Gina.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. I especially want to thank you, Emma, for taking this time to explain a little bit why a spiritual practice is so necessary right now in our lives, and to plan ahead for next year now. What do you want? Because there's an opportunity as we move into the new year to be more expansive and abundant, and choose things that are abundant in a happy, healthy way instead of one that's going to be adding more pain and suffering and disease in your body. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Gina. Yep. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Yes.
Happy solstice.
Happy solstice. Yeah. Love you guys. Have a wonderful Saturday. Stay tuned for more interviews in the coming weeks.